how to set up dynamic MIDI control for clip and clip slot triggering via your external MIDI controller. Hi, I'm Toby from abletondrummer.com, and here are a few Max for Live devices for you if you want to set up flexible clip triggering in Ableton Live. So, for example, if we have a MIDI controller sending MIDI notes, that's very important. Your MIDI controller needs to send MIDI notes, and you want to set this up to control certain MIDI clips or audio clips in one section and maybe different ones in another section. Maybe you even want to use those pads later on to play some sounds directly. This is all possible via those devices and via other devices as well. But here's one option on how to use this. So let's dive in. So we got the clip launch clip slot trigger, and we have 3 versions of those. So it's 1, it's a 10, and it's a 5. Let's use the 5 just for now. So we are sending in MIDI messages, MIDI notes on a different MIDI track here. So create a MIDI track, put the device on there, and then you need to make sure you need to set your monitor to in, so the MIDI is always being passed through. So if we select the controller here, just to make the MIDI as clean as possible, your track in port for your MIDI controller needs to be turned on. So we got the LPD8 MK2 here, and the MIDI is being passed through here. Let's clear those for starting fresh and set those to different values here as well. So it would look like this. The device would look like this when you open it up. The launch clip slot trigger, I have the same 1, 5, 10 for clips as well, but let's start with the clip slot trigger here. So now this device will receive MIDI notes as soon as you turn that on. So if we activate the toggle button here, you can see it's now listening to a certain MIDI note. So obviously you're sending a certain MIDI note pitch from your MIDI controller, and you need to set this to the slot. So to quickly set this, just hit S for syncing, and now it's learning and waiting for the next MIDI note to come through, and it's matching the MIDI pitch here automatically, so there is no need for looking up what MIDI pitch you're sending. So you're now able to set the whole section here, or the whole block here, to trigger a certain clip slot in Ableton Live. So you need to select your track first. If you add a track, you need to hit refresh, so it will, the menu here of the tracks will refresh. So our first track is MIDI in, and then we have 2 more tracks, and then there is the drums tracks, and that's the one we want to select here in the menu. We now want to select the scene vertically, so for which clip we want to trigger. So if we say 1, 2, 3, 4, we want to trigger that one here, so we have to put in a 4, and then we hit set to the box here where we want to trigger that. So boom, it's telling us drums, track drums, and scene 4. So now if we hit this pad here, we can see, if we stop all clips for 1 second, this clip here is being triggered. Let's do the same with one more. So we have drums, and we select clip slot 5. We set this to the next field here, and we already set this up. So now the next clip slot we defined here will be triggered. That's how easy it is. What is the advantage here? The advantage, because you are able to do the native MIDI mapping via the blue MIDI mapping here. You could actually use your remote in here as well for mapping MIDI notes to trigger certain things, but that would mean they are kind of hard-coded. They are bound to do this function, this clip slot, triggering this clip slot only. And you're not able to use those MIDI notes here anymore to play sound. So if we just set the monitor to in, you can hear that we are able to actually use those to trigger sounds directly. Wouldn't be possible if you use the native MIDI mapping. Another advantage would be you are able to set up flexible mappings here. So if we have, for example, a different device here, so if we turn that off, now those clip triggerings wouldn't happen anymore, but we could turn on a different device with different mappings here as well. So as I said, I have the same for clips, so you can actually define clips. This here for the clip slots could be actually used to record stuff as well, so to trigger a clip slot where you want to record something in, trigger that to record, trigger that again for relooping. If you're into looping stuff, you want to maybe check out my one button live looper, which gives you quite a lot of more flexible recording options for looping. Here you can have one button triggering up to 10 tracks and recording 10 tracks here, but that's a different thing here. And as well, if you want to dive deeper and set up more complex things here, I have an advanced MIDI control buttons and faders device here, and those are being able to set up all those different fields here and giving you even more actions. You can combine that with the clip trigger, but you have a lot of options here to do a certain action, scene next, scene previous trigger, tap, metronome on and off, transport on and off, and you can set those to a certain thing. Here you can as well set notes, so you could actually set a note to this one here, and now this note is being produced and is going into a launch clip trigger here. So if we set this up for something else, let's set this up for this one. So the C-2 is now the one which is being received by the launch clip trigger. And the beauty of the advanced control is here we have 128 presets, so we could go one preset up and set a different note here. And this way we are able to set up 8 times for this controller, 8 times x 128 presets to go up and to set, and then to do different things depending on where you are in your set. Okay, so those are Max for Live devices. Max for Live is included in Ableton Live Suite. If you don't own Max for Live, you can't make use of third-party Max for Live devices, unfortunately, at this point. So you need to have Max for Live. Max for Live can be bought as an add-on towards Ableton Live Standard as well. Those devices here work for 10, 11, 12 and upwards. And yeah, if you want to dive deeper, the launch clip slot trigger and the launch clip trigger devices, 6 in total, are available for a pay what you like option here. So just follow the links in the video description. Take care. Bye-bye.